Angela from the Elegant Toothpick, also known as Angela Michelle Dolls, and today we're going to make a toothpick doll. Here's what you'll need. Some plain wooden toothpicks, tacky glue or white glue, some embroidery floss. You're going to need a color for the hair, a color for the skin, and then a few outfit colors, 3 to 4, whatever you like. You will also need a pencil, a ruler, and a little pair of craft scissors. It's also helpful to have a big pair of scissors to cut the toothpicks with. And that's it. It's time to make a doll. With your ruler, measure 1 1/4 inch from the pointed end of a toothpick and make a mark with your pencil. This is going to be the doll's torso and head. Cut the toothpick with your big scissors. Now for the legs, take 2 toothpicks and measure 2 inches from the end. Use your big scissors to cut each toothpick. Sometimes it's easier to make a deep indent with the scissors, but not actually cut it all the way, and then bend the toothpick back and forth to snap it off. That way you don't have toothpick tips flying all through the air. For the arms, take 1 toothpick and measure 1 inch from each end. Cut off the arms and then throw away the middle piece. Alright, let's glue these toothpick bones together. You can set the arms aside and then take the torso and make a mark 5/8 of an inch from the cut end. This marks the head. Now you're going to put a little strip of glue on either side of the torso, the pointed end. Glue one leg to one side, hold it for a moment, and then glue the second leg to the other side. Let this dry completely until that white glue turns completely clear. You're going to get wonky legs otherwise, and no doll wants wonky legs. Time to get some clothes on this toothpick skeleton. We're going to start with the top of the doll's outfit. So take the color that your doll wants for her shirt or the top of her dress and glue one end just below the shoulders. It just takes a drop of glue. Go ahead and press the thread down with your thumb to get rid of any extra glue and make sure that thread is secure. Now you're just going to start wrapping. You can start kind of slow until you get into a rhythm. Try to keep the wrapping pretty close together so that you don't end up with gaps in the doll's dress. That would be so embarrassing. Every once in a while, you can pause and push the thread down a bit, and then keep right on wrapping. We'll speed things up a bit here, but you're really just going to keep wrapping, pull the thread out, wrap, push the thread down, keep right on wrapping until you get down to wherever you want that color to end. So if you're making a shirt, you'd end around her waist. We're making a dress, so I'm going down a little bit farther, and then I'm going to stop because I want to add another color at the very bottom of her dress. So to finish that off, just put a little drop of glue at the end, push the end of the thread down, make sure it's really secure, and one color is done. Now we're going to change to a new color, and it really is just as simple as put another dot of glue, attach the new color, and wrap until you get to where you want that color to end. I want this color to go all the way down to her feet, so I'm going to keep wrapping just right before her feet, and then I'll end it off at the bottom. And like we've been doing, I'll push the yarn down a little bit, and when I get to the very end, you just clip it, put your dot of glue, secure it, make sure it's nice and secure, and you now have a fabulous designer toothpick doll dress. One of a kind. Now, I have noticed that unfortunately my doll's little feet aren't quite so even, so I'm going to take my big scissors and just snip off that little bit there. It's time to give this girl some arms. Make sure you ask your doll what color she wants. Toothpick dolls are small, but believe me, they are full of opinions. And then grab one of the arms that you set aside earlier, attach a color at the pointed end, and just start wrapping right down towards her hand. Notice that you don't have to start the thread all the way to the very tip of the toothpick. That part is going to get covered when we add the shoulders. It's just easier to start about 1/4 of an inch down. Now I'm going to be really trendy and give this girl 3/4 length sleeves, so I will stop before I get to the bottom all the way down to her hand. But wrap as far as you want and then just clip the end, secure it with a dot of glue, and then set this arm to the side while you wrap the other arm. So I have my other arm done, and now we're going to glue them in place. Put a thin line of glue right at the tip of the shoulder and maybe 1/2 inch or so down, not too far, and glue one arm on. Try to notice where the threads end, like on the arms and the dress, and make sure that all goes in the back. And now repeat for the other side. Press the arm pretty firmly into place at the top and then set your doll aside and let those arms dry completely. I know you, and I'm telling you now, arm drying is not a thing to be rushed. Respect the process and don't make your doll mad. Her arms will go out of joint if you move on too quickly. Now the shoulders might be the most tricky part of the doll, but I've got some tips to make it go easier. Pull out your shoulder collar and attach the thread at the back of the doll about 1/2 inch from the neck. Press your thumb down on it to make sure it's nice and secure. Now, before you start wrapping, put a thin line of glue down both arms just at the shoulder area. Not too much, your doll does not want glue squishing out everywhere. Take your time here and start wrapping the thread around in the direction of the neck to start forming the shoulders. Now, as you go, you can let the glue catch your thread in place. Go ahead and press it here and there with your finger as you go. Nice and slow, don't stress. If you end up with a messy glue spot, we'll stick a bow on it and call it fashion. You can totally get by with that. You'll notice I'm using my fingernail here and there to kind of secure the thread in place. That can be helpful too, to kind of push it into the glue. And if you need to add more glue as you get to the top, go right ahead. So this part is a little bit picky, especially as you get right towards the top, but just go slowly. If you need to unwrap back a couple of wraps and redo an area, that's fine too. Keep wrapping until you get right up to the neck, and then wrap a couple of times around the neck. You can even go up into the area where the head is going to be. We'll cover it up later. And then clip and glue the end into place. You just made a pair of shoulders. I am so proud. One of the questions I get asked the most is, how do you make the head? So now, just for you, I shall reveal the secret of the head. This feels very momentous. Attach your thread at the neck and then wrap right up to the very top of the toothpick. Just keep wrapping and then kind of pause right when you get to the top. Now, and this is a key element in the whole secret of the head thing. Put a blob of glue right at the tip and then smash it down to secure the thread at the top of the head. And just kind of, with your finger, wrap and smash, wrap and smash, wrap and smash, okay? It's a whole theme. So if you want a nice round head, really spend some time kind of building it up at the very tip right here, okay? And you can add more glue and keep wrapping it around, and it really helps to use that finger to keep it all in place. And by the way, the secret of the head, it involves a lot of glue. So once you're satisfied you got it at the top, just wrap all the way down, back down to the neck. Same thing at the neck, just kind of build it up. Go ahead and take your time and just keep building it up. And then you'll notice that what I'm doing is I will go down to the neck, wrap really slowly, take my time, and then work my way back up to the top. And then back down to the neck, and you just kind of keep going back and forth. And as always, add glue when you need to. Once you're satisfied with how it's kind of building up down at the neck or up at the top of the head, add some glue there so that you don't accidentally drop the doll and then undo everything. It's happened. By the way, it takes a while to get the feel of doing a head and making it a nice round shape. Your first doll's head will probably be a little sad. She's going to need a lot of hair. But I give you full permission to let your very first doll be a cone head. And you can see here, this is my first doll. Wow. Okay. Excuse me. And I'm back, I think. Okay, so my first doll, you know, it's your first doll. She can be whatever she's gonna be. But please, 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 be sure to keep your first doll, like forever. Hopefully, you're gonna make a bunch more dolls and you will actually be able to make a good head at some point. But this first one is special. Just don't let her hang out with your later dolls. She'll get a complex. And now we're actually starting to get something that is resembling a head. And you'll notice that once I get to the end, when I'm just kind of rounding it off, I go a little bit more slowly here, which is fine. Go at your own pace and secure it with glue every once in a while, and just keep wrapping. Okay, and almost to the end here. And I want to give you one final tip, that little bit of an advanced tip, so maybe you don't want to do it on your first doll, maybe your second or 15th doll. But when you get to the end, see how I'm kind of unwrapping and flattening the thread? That just gives the head a really nice finish. And now you're going to clip the thread and then secure it in the back with glue. You're doing great, but we are not finished yet. There is one more highly important task. We have to seal the head. Basically, this involves putting a lot of drops of glue around the top and chin of your head, the doll's head, and then with your finger, you're going to smooth the glue over the entire head. So see all those drops? You're covering the head, and then you're going to take your finger and smooth it over the whole head. Now you want to try and do this in as few movements as possible. Now this glue is going to dry clear, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you don't seal the head, your head will pop off and you will be sad. Don't let your head pop off. And look at her. We have built a body, made a dress, some shoulders. She's got a nice round head that is on backwards. So if you'll notice, these are the spots where my thread ends, and that's supposed to be in the back. But that's okay, because now we get a bonus lesson of how to fix your mistakes. But first, the hair. I wanted curly hair, so for that, all you do is take your thread and then tape one end to a toothpick and wrap it around the toothpick. I wrapped it in 2 layers. And then secure the other end with a piece of tape and soak it for about an hour, then let it dry overnight. To be sure you have enough curls to work with, go ahead and wrap about 3 to 4 toothpicks and you will have a whole pile of curly hair. So because I wrapped the hair in 2 layers around the toothpick, that gives me 2 different sizes of curls, a small curl and a big curl, which is kind of nice to work with. And the first thing I want to do is trim the edge of both ends of the curl. It's the least curly little bit and I don't want to work with it. The hairstyle that we're doing today, we would do it the same whether the hair is curly or straight, so it's really up to you. And we're going to start by putting a line of glue from the middle of her forehead down behind what would be one of her ears. So you do that on one side of the head and then repeat it on the other side of the head. So she has a line of glue going like a headband all across her head. And now with your hair color, you're just gonna follow that line from one side to the other. With the curls, it can be a little bit tricky, but just kind of flatten out the section that you're gonna use. So you'll notice I'm holding down a section of curls and then pulling it. And go kind of slow. Use your fingers to push it in place. And you're gonna go from one end all the way down to the other. just like that. And then trim your curls, and you've still got enough glue there to add maybe another line or two. And at this point, don't worry too much about getting the ends exactly even, especially with curls. They're going to pop all over the place and it can be a little hard to judge that. But even with straight hair, you can always give her a haircut later. We'll give her a nice trim. So I'm going to start my second line, and if you remember when I did the first one, I did that while looking at her face because I wanted to frame her face nicely, but this time you can start doing it from the back. And you're just following the line that you've already made. Get it as close as you can to the first line of thread, but it's okay if a little bit of glue peeps through. You can always press that out with your finger. And I'll speed things up here just a little bit, but you're just going to repeat what you've been doing. Put down another line of glue, put down 2 to 3 more strands, and keep right on going until you've filled up the back of her head. If you have curly hair, remember we have 2 different sizes of curls, so it's a good idea to kind of mix those sizes a little bit. Do a big one, do a small one, and mix them around more like natural curls. This is one of the easier hairstyles you can do, just, from ear to ear. You can do it with curly hair or straight hair, but there's really no limit to what you can do with your doll's hair. And I'll show you my first doll here. This is the back view, and she had like this whole head bun thing going on, where I just wrapped it in one great big circle to cover the back of her head. And here's the front view. I think I was going for the sloppy bangs look and nailed it. So honestly, so long as you end up with a head full of hair, you have done it right. Okay, let's jump to the end so you can see how we finish this up. It's just this last little bit that we're trying to get covered. And if you'll notice, as I'm working, I'm pushing the curls on both sides out of the way, kind of over her shoulders, so that they're not in my way as I work. So put the last thread in place, clip it, and you're done. She's a little scary looking at this point, but she's got hair. Now before I style her, I want to fix one of those spots in the front. Remember when I put her head on backwards and it left a bad spot in the front? So I'm going to put a line of thread at the base of her shoulders, and I'll make it a contrasting color than her shoulders, and it will look like I meant to do it that way all along. So just secure your thread in the back, wrap it around to the front, make sure you get all her pretty curls out of the way, and then secure it in the back. So obviously this is optional. You can add this little decoration whether you messed up or not, but it's nice to know that there are a ton of ways to fix it when things go wrong. So now it's time to fix this crazy hair. I know bedhead is all the rage, but I think we're taking it a bit far with this one. So turn her to the back and then kind of push all of her curls out of the way. And then for this particular hairstyle, what we're doing, put a bunch of glue in the back and just gently press some of the curls down. You don't want to smush them down. You don't want flattened curls. You just want the curls to rest in the glue. And now that we've got the back done, it's time to tackle the front. And it's similar to how we did the back. We're just going to take a little bit more care with it this time. And so put some glue over her shoulder, and you're going to be a little bit more artistic about this. Take a curl here, a curl there, push it in place, see how you like it, and just kind of arrange them on her shoulders. So add a bit more glue here and there, and kind of let your inner hairstylist come out, if you happen to have one. Might explain something for me personally, because I can't glue my own hair in place. Probably why I like doing doll hair better. By the way, if you ever if you find that you have too many curls and you don't want to try and fit them all in, you can clip one of those off. Nobody's gonna notice. Just kind of hide the end, tuck the end down, and you will be just fine. And see, in the back, I wanted a little bit more curl in the back, so I'm stretching some of these curls over and I'm putting them exactly where I want. And I'll do the same thing for the other side. Just put some glue down and then a couple curls at a time, or even one at a time. Just arrange them how you like. This is one of my favorite parts of doing a doll, especially a doll with this kind of hairstyle, because you get to just play and there's not really a way to do it wrong. If you have too much hair, clip it off. Like right here, this piece ended up being a bit long, so I'll just clip it. It's so much more fun than doing regular hair. You can't do that in real life. If you find that you do need to cut a curl completely out, then stretch it out and try and clip it as close to the base of her head as you can. Congratulations, team! We have tamed the crazy curls. And now we're going to give her some bangs, and to do that we're going to take a bit of the smaller size of curls and cut off just a few, so like maybe 4 or 5 of those curls, and that's what we're going to use to make her bangs. So put a little dot of glue right in the middle of her forehead and kind of push those little curls right across the middle of her forehead. And you can stretch them out a little bit, arrange them so that they're cute little curls, and now you have a little girl with a little curl right in the middle of her forehead. And now we are down to the final touches. I have one little spot that I still want to cover up, a mistake from earlier, and I'm going to do that with a bow. And people are always asking, how do you make such teeny tiny bows? And it's really kind of simple. You make a big bow, and then you pull on it until it becomes teeny tiny. Now you know how to make a teeny tiny bow. So you want to make sure your bow is nice and tight to start with, and then just keep pulling at either end until you have the size that you want. Now we're going to put a little dot of glue right over the spot where I want my bow to be, and press your bow into place. I like to do it at a little bit of a angle, just kind of cute. And then clip the ends, try and keep them even. And then last but not least, you'll put a little dot of glue right in the middle of your bow and push it into place so that your bow doesn't come undone. So I went ahead and made one more bow out of the purple color this time for her hair. I think bows are one of the cutest and best ways to start, especially for a beginner. They're pretty easy to do, and they're such a cute little addition. And once it's done, I'll glue it into place, just like I did with the other one. And I like my bows in the hair to be kind of standing up a little bit, so you just kind of keep shifting and playing with it until you like it. And hey, your doll is done! She's adorable. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and got absolutely hooked on doll making. Like and subscribe for more toothpick doll videos, and don't forget, I want to see your first doll. So post on Instagram with hashtag #myfirsttoothpickdoll and tag @elegant_toothpick, and know that I will be smiling ear to ear when I see it. That really does make my day. And if you want to see some of the fancier dolls that I'm currently working on, and find out if the doll and I are getting along or not, fair warning, the fancier the doll, the more opinions they have. Or if you want to know the moment a new tutorial comes out, find me on Instagram or YouTube @elegant_toothpick, and there you can also let me know what tutorial or progress video you'd like to see next. Have a blessed day and happy doll making!